Good evening to those who gather wool, my friends. Welcome to episode 178 of Wanderings and Wool Gathering. On tonight's episode, we will be reviewing the latest record from Smashing Pumpkins. It's called Aghori Mhori Mei. And in the spirit of doing a show about Smashing Pumpkins, we're also going to do our feature that we do called Rebanding, where we choose a different band to record a record that was recorded by someone else. So this was really difficult for me. This is one of my favorite records of all time, but we are going to reband Siamese Dream. So I cannot wait to find out what everybody else picked, and I'll share mine. I'm still not 100% sold, but we ran out of time, and this is what we have. So we're going to do that tonight. And if you like what you see, what you hear, subscribe, leave a comment, and feel free to share with your friends. Smash that like button, if you will, as well. Because you know who enjoys that? Metalhead Mundy.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Mm-hmm. You do like that, right? When they smash
I
the
like
button?
being liked, yes.
It's always nice being liked.
Sometimes I don't care, but mostly I like it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's unavoidable. Either way.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So I noticed as I was talking that the steam from my tea is going across my screen. I can put an ice cube in there.
Special.
You know why it's so hot? It's in this fancy Wanderings mug I have.
It stays hot.
It does. It does stay hot. So, I wish we could have had more time with the record. We've talked about this in the past. Sometimes having to do it 2 days after its release, it's timely, which is a great thing. But sometimes you really want to sit with the record for a little while, let it sink in, have a chance to dig in and all that. So
right.
We weren't allowed to do that, but here we are, and we're going to do our best to talk about this record and do a little rebanding.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
You have me scared now. You really do. I have an honorable mention, a fun honorable mention.
Okay.
You'll probably think is dumb, but
all right.
That's all right. So, well, let's go ahead. Let's just reband first, and then we'll get to our record.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and give the ones that were sent in first. Now, obviously, if you watched in the past, you know the T-Bags joins us, and he's not here tonight. He is inundated with work. He sent in Soundgarden because he feels like Chris Cornell could hit the big, heavy stuff, and he could also do the softer, quieter stuff, which I agree 100%. And his honorable mention, because that's how Tony works, was Alice in Chains.
Okay.
And that would be kind of odd for me, I think. But if Lane were alive, I could maybe get behind that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think those two kind of fit the spirit of this. Like it's never, we don't really put any parameters on it. Like something you could pick something that might be sort of similar, but a little different. I mean, obviously if it's someone else, it's going to be different, but something a little similar, but then something that's not at all like, you know, so I think we've done all of that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, I picked 1975 to do Dark Side of the Moon. So
right.
You don't get much different.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It would be interesting to see what they could do. I've got one more, and I think you've got a call in as well. So Chris from Tones of Music on Twitter.
Okay.
He said that he thought the Deftones would do a nice job. And I think he's right. I think that's a good choice.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. I definitely think so.
Okay. I'm like hearing that in my head. That could be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big 90s guy, so he's all into the alternative. So I'm sure he's got some ideas behind that. Who did you have? Who's not yours, but your call-in?
Right. So I was talking to my wife, Lacey, about this, and she chose My Chemical Romance. because she
I don't hate
said
that.
like there's some similarities there, with the kind of the voice. I think Gerard Way could probably, handle anything that Billy's throwing out. And yeah, I think they could come up with kind of a similar vibe, but a little different. It's kind of, if you listen to Siamese Dream, you listen to My Chemical Romance, they both have the heavy, the vulnerable, like they both kind of do everything, a little bit of everything in different ways.
I would love to hear them do Space Boy.
Okay.
I think Gerard Way could do an amazing job on that one.
Yeah.
And that's about Billy's handicapped brother. So
okay.
Yeah, really cool. That's a nice choice. I like that. That's good. So it looks like I'm going to like one half of your family. All right. Well, you ready to jump in?
I am.
All right. Let's hear it. You kind of got me a little worried.
Well, as Monty Python once said, and now for something completely different. So listening back through Siamese Dream, one of the things that is most prominent for me is Billy's guitar tone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like kind of like a heavy fuzz tone. That's the words that make sense to me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that just kind of sent me down a spiral thinking of like who could pull that off, but still bring something different to it. And what I kept coming back to, which really intrigued me, was another contemporary of Smashing Pumpkins, because like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains were kind of, that early to mid 90s time period. I really think L7 would be interesting.
I don't hate that.
But the only reason I thought you might hate it is because of the vocals. Because that would be a completely different animal.
Yeah, but let's be honest, it's not like Billy is sings beautifully. He's got one of those voices where it's not a great voice, but it sounds great. It works with the Pumpkins. So, I think you can go all over the place with I think that's the least important part for me.
Okay.
With Pumpkins, because you talked about the guitars, and for me, it's all that layering.
Yeah.
You got the fuzz, and it kind of comes in and out, and it's the drums.
Yeah.
So,
and I really think, like I said, L7, they could definitely pull off the fuzz guitar tone. The vocals would be bring a completely different element to it. You mentioned the drums. I want to say it's D. Placus is the drummer. I might have that wrong, but I think she would be great. And I just that Riot Girl attitude, I think bringing that different attitude to these songs, I think might be interesting as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great choice. It's out of the box. It's different. It's kind of cool. So, my first choice, well, not my choice, but my honorable mention, which I kind of thought about, but it would be like a throwback. And you'd have to go back to the late 70s and have the band do it then.
Sure.
And it would be Boston.
Okay.
And Billy's even talked about the layered guitars, and that's a lot of what Boston did. And they've got that big sound with the guitars. I think that would be kind of an interesting thing. That's not my choice. I don't know where that would really land. I think it'd be cool, but who knows? My choice was, and this was so difficult. I was all over the place, but the Foo Fighters. And he has shown that he is multi-talented. He's guitar, drums. He's played with two very different bands.
Mm-hmm.
He shows a love and respect for a lot of different bands and a lot of different music. And I think he could do a good job with this record, and be interesting to see what he would do. I have a feeling it would be kind of a straightforward record, but I think he would give the respect that it would deserve, and it would be a good record.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting choice. I mean, Dave Grohl you talk about different kinds of music. He's played with much more than two bands. He was, he was an integral part to two bands,
right?
But he's also sat in with like Queens of the Stone Age, Killing Joke, I
Rush.
mean, all kinds of bands. But so, yeah, that's interesting. Plus, he has like he did his metal side project Probot, which is also within that is like every song is a different style of metal. So, yeah, I think he could probably do anything he wanted. So,
Yeah, I think so. Just a very talented guy. And you
Yeah.
never would have thought, like when Nirvana came out, you never would have thought that's the guy, you know?
yeah,
Just kind of overshadowed by Kurt. So,
right.
all right. Well, that was interesting.
I like it.
I don't ever want to do that again. So, no more renaming my babies. I don't like that. Next week we'll try another one. We'll let Metalhead Mundy pick this one. So,
Okay.
end of the week we'll put it out there what we're going to do.
I'll figure it out.
I have to mention too. We speaking of next week, we've got another album pick, but we have to do Blood on the Tracks. So this has been told to us for a while now. So I will be getting the notes for Dylan, and we will tackle Blood on the Tracks. If not next week, the week after. Probably the week after. That one's coming out next week. So Sistine, 2 weeks. Get ready. All right. Now to the business at hand, which is Aghori Mhori Mei, the new album from Smashing Pumpkins. It is the exact opposite of what we just got last November, which is crazy to think we got a 33 song record in November and we just got another record today or Friday. Very different records. And for me, I know Mundy did not love Autumn. It was a little too big and too crazy out there. Maybe too bloated in your opinion.
Yeah. So, that's a good word for it.
I get it. I think a lot of people don't necessarily love all that Billy does when he goes off on his tangents. I tend to enjoy them for what they are. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I like this record a lot.
I enjoyed this one as well. It's definitely different than Autumn. Which I think we did on the show. You take those 33 songs and those 3 parts and narrow it down to like one good album. But I think they got away from this one giant story that kind of meandered and went off everywhere. And I think this is a much more focused effort, and there may be like I don't know, some lyrical through lines, but it's not like a story.
No, okay. So let's just the title.
Yeah.
So Aghori can mean not dreadful. It can mean the name for a high goddess.
Okay.
It can mean devoted, a monastic order devoted to Shiva, which I was like, oh, Shiva. The song from their first record, Gish.
Yeah.
So I kind of went there. And then the word Mori can also mean to die. It can mean beautiful or attractive. It's all over the place. And then May can mean beautiful in one, or Latin, it can be my. So my thinking is maybe it's my beautiful death or something along those lines. Okay. I have no idea. And you are correct. Trying to trace those lyrics through the songs to figure it out. Not in 2 days.
Yeah. Some of the lyrics, I think nonsensical is a little harsh, but some of them almost felt like more stream of consciousness, but had like a thematic element maybe. But it was kind of hard to follow at times. But music-wise, I feel like they did a pretty great job. There wasn't anything on here I really hated. So
I have a feeling I know exactly which songs are your favorite.
Can
I guess what your number one is?
I don't think my favorites will be a shock to anyone that knows me. So.
When I heard it the first time, I thought his favorite song is going to be "Ward Dreams of Itself."
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably.
That's a banger. It is good. Let's go album opener. What'd you think, Eden?
This is actually a great song. perfect opener. It kind of, it's got like a little bit of an intro at the front, and then when it kicks in, it's a really solid riff. There's some interesting dynamics in this song. There's one part where the music kind of drops out and it's just Jimmy doing some little funky thing with the drumsticks, and
nice.
All of that was really cool. But yeah, it's a great way to open the album. This Eden was definitely one of my highlights.
Yeah, I knew we were in for a good record when I heard this one, and there are probably 5 or 6 songs that have really solid, cool riffs. And this is a great opener, and that starts the pattern, because the pattern is kind of super hard, a little mellow, hard, a little mellow, it kind of goes back and forth, which makes for a nice listening experience. And I think this record is tight. It's 10 songs, it's only 45 minutes or so, and it feels like a very tight record, as opposed to 33 rock opera.
It's the exact opposite end of the spectrum from what they did before. So interesting swing of the pendulum there.
I have thought about that. I'll tell you at the end. So
okay.
All right. Second, well, we don't have to necessarily do song by song. What are your other highlights?
Well, like I said, it's probably not going to be any shock, but you mentioned War Dreams of Itself. I got to say that one, like, it started, I'm like, okay, I like this. And then when like the drums and the riff kicked in together, not going to lie, they got a little stank face. I was like, ooh, that's good. So yeah, anytime you get that from me, that's probably going to be a highlight on the album. So, and it had a really cool ending, like very strong ending to the song. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Did you get a little bit of a vibe, especially at the beginning, of Beguiled? Like there was a little guitar piece that felt a little bit like Beguiled, like this is the next step.
I could see that. I that wasn't top of mind for me, but I can see that now that you've brought it up. Yeah.
So I'm guessing your other tops are Sigomies. I don't even know how you say that word, and it's not a word, so I don't know where it came from. I'm guessing Sicarus, probably another one of your top.
Sigomi, no. It was great. Let's see. So there was kind of a really cool chug that happened in that song. It's very short. It was like in the verses, every time you would come in with the second line, there was like this little chuggy riff, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, we're done with that." and the chorus was kind of cool. It wasn't like heavy or anything, but the chorus sounded really good. The melodies and the guitar and everything together sounded good on that one. I did like it. It's not. I only put down like 3 highlights, but you were right on the other one, the Sicarus or whatever. The main riff in that is a very metal riff, and just like the heaviness and the kind of the, I don't know, the phrasing or how it's arranged. It's very, very metal riff. The about the middle of the song, there's a little bit of a shift, and it's real tasty. I don't know. It was kind of like textury and just different. Like the way they switched it I was like, ooh, that's interesting. And there's a part, I think it's more towards the end, or at least in the second half of the song, where the guitar kind of drops out and it's Jimmy, and then there's like some bass kind of. I isolated is the wrong word because obviously Jimmy's still playing, but just the drum and bass together, and the bass just sound really thick and good.
Yeah, I had heavy riff on this one.
Yep.
And then after that, there's a great guitar solo. Not a lot of guitar solos on this record.
True.
And there was a really nice one there. And then you mentioned a deep bass. There was another element, or a bass element, on Pentagrams
Yes.
that had a really cool bass undertone that was really deep, and I really liked that because the song was slower. It wasn't nearly as heavy as some of the others, but there was just like a little bit of chugginess and this cool bass thing going underneath that I thought was pretty neat.
All right.
This is my sleeper.
Sleeper.
I have a sleeper hit because the ones you just named I loved. Those
Yeah.
were like up front, which I thought was fantastic. But Who Goes There is my sleeper hit.
Okay.
And it's really catchy. It's got a cool little guitar vibe going on that's a little different than the other songs. I like Billy's phrasing in this one quite a bit. This is the one where he talks about never been to Kathmandu.
Yeah.
It's a very radio-friendly-ish type song, but there's something about it I really liked. I've listened to it quite a few times, so that's my sleeper.
Yeah, I can see the radio friendly part. That one had a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of an open, kind of a spacey feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if spacey is the right word, but it felt kind of like open and airy and big.
I had that almost exact remark at Murnau, however you say that, at the last song. Let's talk about the closer. I wasn't sure at first because you've got this record that is just in your face, hitting you hard, and then you get to the last one. It's very slow. It's got piano. Then it changes a little bit. Then we get some synth, which there's not a lot of synth on this one.
Yep.
And I thought the song had a real ambiance or feel to it. It really felt like it grew and felt big. And that's when I was like, all right, this isn't a bad album closer. This is okay. I was a little worried at first, but it really kind of grew on me.
No, it's pretty good as a closer. It's one of those, like I know I've mentioned it before. It's kind of a chill out closer. It's cool down. It kind of like, cools you down, calms you down, and you ride it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it works.
Yep. And what'd you think of 999?
That one was interesting because it kind of, in the verses, the music in the verses, there was almost kind of a weird sense of menace in it. Like it just sounded like ooh, what's going to happen here? And then, but it kind of went away when you get out of the chord or out of the verses. So it was different. And then at the end, the song kind of picked up, and it was kind of it got a little more active, I think, at the end. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I kind of liked it too. I'm not sure that's why I want to be able to sit with this a little bit more. Just it's hard in 2 days, but this one had a nice, big, heavy, layered guitar sound.
Yeah,
which I thought was pretty good.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And then the only one, so we were going to talk about every song, just highlights, but now we've talked about every song except for Goeth the Fall. And so basically this was mellow, folksy, nice piano at the bridge.
Yeah.
This for me was, if there's a throwaway on the record, this probably was it for me. This is my favorite.
I agree with that 100%. I did not love this song. I didn't hate it. And it's just kind of like, okay.
All right. So how would you rate the record, and would you listen again?
I definitely want to listen to it some more, if not for nothing else, just to get a better feel for it. It's pretty quick, and it's not a long listen, so it's not something that I sit down and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an hour and a half of music, and it's,
I have to take notes.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, and there's some great songs on here. There's some awesome riffs, and Billy sounds great. So I'll definitely listen to some more. Right now, I would probably give it about a 3.25. Okay. If I listen more, that might go up a little bit. Right now, I'm feeling 3.25.
Okay, that's out of 20, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, out of 5.
I'm not that mean. Not that mean.
Okay, well, I like it a lot, and it's funny because I just, after they announced that it was coming out just not very long ago and said they weren't going to drop a single, they're just going to drop this thing, I started looking at, like expectations from people. And he said it's going to be hard. It's going to be Siamese. No, I mean, he's always said never doing Siamese Dream again. He's got the pedals. He can make the sound, but it's not who they are. That's not where they are. That we've talked about this a million times. You can't remake records from 20 years ago, 25 years ago. You're not the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel this fits in is following 2012 Oceana, which I think is a very underrated record. I think it's pretty good. There's some songs that would have fit in perfectly, like My Love Is Winter, The Chimera. So you take that record and then Monuments to an Elegy and Shiny and Oh So Bright and Sir and Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of progressed. I think you took like the best elements from all of those records and they fit on here nicely. There's obviously less Autumn here than some of the other records, but like the last song, Murnau, would have fit on Autumn. I think
yes, very much so.
So I really think that progressively it is a very much Smashing Pumpkins record. It is not 1993 Smashing Pumpkins. It's never going to be, but it's hard, it's good, it's enigmatic, and it does everything I like in a Smashing Pumpkins record. So I'm going to give it a 4.25 out of 5.
Okay.
Because I like it a lot, and I'm going to keep listening some more and more. So there you have it.
Yeah, and we've talked about that several times. Metallica is always a big one for me. It's, people complain, oh, they didn't do anything good after Injustice for All. I'm like, I disagree with that. And, you can't expect, especially if you keep members together over the decades, you can't expect them to not grow as musicians, to change, to be influenced by different things over the years, or to finally be comfortable enough to try different things. Like, all of that comes with age and time and, how you play and all of that. So I think to pigeonhole any band is just ridiculous. And to expect them to stay the same and keep recreating over and over again what you like, that's not that. If you like that, then make it yourself. So,
yeah, a band that was angry and poor and homeless 30 years ago, and now they're rich and famous, cannot write about being poor and homeless anymore with any authenticity. It just doesn't work,
Yeah. I don't know if I would go that far, because I think your experiences will always influence you, but yeah, I mean, you are.
I don't know that you could do it with the same aggression, the same passion that you probably had.
Possibly.
I just think you're such different people than you were probably 10 years ago, let alone we're talking about 1993. We're 30 years ago, and like with Metallica coming out in the early 80s and all that. I mean,
right.
Sorry. It's going to be different. So, and I'm here for the ride because I'm getting old too.
Yep.
So, all right. Anything else before we head out into the sunset?
Do we want to say what we're covering next week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, go for it.
Okay. So I have stumbled across a band that I had never heard of before, and I believe they are a Swedish band. I may be wrong about that, but they're from somewhere in that region. I'm pretty sure it's Sweden. But they're called the Blues Pills. And I really like everything I've heard so far. And the kind of band they are and the record label they started out with is weird. We'll probably talk about that more next time. But man, powerhouse female singer, great rockin' band, and they have a new album that is already out. I believe it is called, I don't have it in, it's called Birthday. And I think I've read a couple different things, and I'm not sure if it's a brand new album or if it's actually a live album. I'm honestly not sure. So we'll find out together.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, either way, I'm excited about it. And I have not listened to it yet because I want to spend time with it this week for the show. So
now, where did you hear this band?
I think honestly, it was just a YouTube recommend. I don't know why YouTube threw them at me, but I checked them out and I was like, "Ooh, they're good." And I just fell down the rabbit hole, and man, they're good.
Birthday, August 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it's live.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't list anything as live. LP releases the Rockers' Concentrated Energy and Untamed Heart.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a live album, but I just getting ready to come on here, I read something that I may have misread something, I'll say.
Well, that's who we're doing next week. Can't wait to check them out. And we're going to review one song being released by our old friend, Ayatoya.
Mm-hmm.
I wore the shirt tonight just in honor of that.
Yep.
So we'll do that, and we will reband whatever Mundy tells us to reband.
I'll get on that pretty quick.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun. They're frustrating but fun at the same time. So
yeah,
hopefully you'll want to play along. All right, and if you need to find us anywhere, you can find us everywhere because we are on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, wherever else you might find your podcast. Are there more? Castbox went out, right?
I think Stitcher did.
I thought it was Castbox. Well, anyway, everybody listens on Spotify or Apple Music anyway. And you can find us there at all. Oh, and you can find us on TikTok too. So
hey, there you go.
check us out on TikTok. So that'll be cool. All right, everybody. Until we meet again next Sunday night, have a great week. Bye.